Hello, my BCC friends. Welcome to the last week of instruction for students. Today, I'm going to show you something that I'm actually embarrassed to say that I didn't know about until today. I was actually researching to show you something new, and then I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that you could do that. And I thought this would help you definitely if you're preparing for any type of summer assignments, but also especially help you for next school year, whether we're doing face-to-face instruction, whether we're doing online instruction. This is going to be something that is going to provide scaffolding for your ESOL students to give them a little bit more of that step up for equity that we are all striving for. And you can literally do it in dozens of languages because it's using something that we all use every day, and it's good old Google, the $800 billion company that is clearly smarter than all of us. And as I said, I'm a little embarrassed to say that I didn't know this existed. What it's going to let you do is take most files. So as you see on my screen here, I have a PDF file. I also have a Google Doc here that I created. This is just an old student handbook copy, but this could be anything for it. You have to treat them kind of differently for it, but it's basically going to take this document and convert it into whatever language it is that your students speak as their mother tongue. It can be a document you create. It can be a document that somebody else created. You can do this yourself. Think about how much your students would appreciate it if you do this for you. It's literally only going to take you a few more seconds, maybe a minute, to do this for all of your students, and think how empowering that will be for them and how much they're going to appreciate if you do this. Or you can show them how to do this yourself when it's time to meet them in the fall. So let's get to it. So the first thing you need is an actual document. So I've got a copy of The Raven. The Raven's in the public domain, so there's many legal copies of that short story out there. So this is a PDF, as you can see. It's the whole text of it right here, and I want to translate this into maybe Spanish or Amharic, whatever it is. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download it to my drive, or you can put it on your My Documents if you're working on a computer. I'm going to stick in this folder here. So I've got a copy of that Raven now, and now I'm going to go to Google's Translate option. Now, I have used this before only to type in text here. I'll usually type in English here, and then I'll translate it. Often when I'm working with ESOL 1 and 2 students, they are often our students who speak Spanish, and we're just trying to do things like check out a book or to ask them if I can help them with something. And I'll type in English over here, and then I'll click Spanish, and then they can read this, and then they can come over here and they can type in Spanish, and I can read in English, and we can go back and forth that way. But something that I've never noticed, and maybe it's been here for years, as I said, I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know about it, is that you can do the same thing with documents. So that copy of The Raven, I can click on Documents, and now it's saying to browse your computer, and it allows you to upload any of these file types. So I've got Word docs, I've got PDFs, I've got PowerPoints, I've got Excel documents. Notice one thing that is not listed is a Google Doc, which I think is ironic since this is Google Translate, but I'm going to show you how to work around that. But first, we do have a PDF of The Raven. So we're going to click on this and we're going to go get it. And here it is right here. There's the document. So I'm going to open it up for you. And so now what I want to do is I want to choose whatever language it is that my ESOL students speak. So French or Amharic, whatever it happens, Japanese, whatever it happens to be. So I'm just going to choose Spanish for now. And now I'm going to hit translate. And it'll start off like, oh, it's in English. It failed me. But actually, a couple seconds later, here it is. Here is the translation of the poem. One thing that you'll notice is that it tries to keep the formatting, but it is not perfect at all. But the biggest caveat of all of this is that now we have a computer doing the translation. We talked about a couple weeks ago with Talking Points that the main strength of Talking Points is its high level of accuracy and readability in its translation because humans are involved. Well, this $800 billion company is mostly powered by computers, and so it is going to make mistakes. So the way that you should look at this is, as I said at the beginning, scaffolding for your students, because ultimately you still want your ESOL students to be reading English text and ultimately on grade level. So we got to work up to there. So what this would allow them to do is to compare the English text with their mother tongue text that Google is translating for it. So what do you do with this document? So what I can do is I can take this translation and I can save it. And the way to save it is actually to print it. So I'm going to hit Control P here, and that is the same thing as print. And I think I hit the wrong button. Here it is. And notice it says save as PDF, and it's going to load a preview here. And once it's done loading the preview, let me move myself out of the way, I would be able to save it. Know that I had like an 89-page copy of a whole book originally of Edgar Allan Poe short stories, and this preview never ended up loading, and I was not able to save it. So there is something about having too long of a document. But now I've got this document. This is the Spanish version. I'm going to click Save. And so now I'm going to give it a name. So I can say The Raven in Spanish. And this is just for me. And now I would be able to upload this along with my English version of The Raven to my Google Classroom, my MCPS Classroom, wherever it is that you're putting your documents. So this is a document that was already created for me. What about a document that I already have, like a Google document? Think about it. How often do our ESOL students don't even know what we're expecting them to do because they can't fully read the rubric that is being provided to them because their English skills just aren't as strong as they want them to be, as we want them to be. Well, you can do the same thing with Google Docs, but remember, Google Translate did not list a Google Doc as one of the options. So what you can do is you can go to File, Download, and then you can make it a Word document yourself. And you can still save that Word document to your Google Drive. It doesn't have to be on a PC or a Mac. So this is going to be my copy of the student handbook. Again, this could be a rubric, this could be a worksheet, whatever it happens to be. And now you click Save. So now it's made it a Word doc. And so now when I do the same thing, I go to Translate. Now I go back to my documents. I'm going to click Browse Your Computer. And then here it is. It's a Word document. And now notice all these things that are grayed out. That's because they're Google Docs. Why it's not going to read a Google Doc and translate it for me, I honestly don't know. Maybe it's because there is a translation option within them, and maybe they think that's better. But just know that this is one option. So I've got a Word document right here. Here it is. This is just telling me that, about translation history. So I'm just going to kind of like move this out of the way. Now I can choose whatever language I want, and I can click Translate. And now it's going to take that document, it's going to translate it. This is actually a really long document, so it's going to take a little bit longer to do the whole thing. But notice that it also does give you the original text as well. So if your student has this This would be the original test. This would be their mother tongue language, and that's all within the translation version. If you save this as a PDF, that capability does go away. So that is part of the argument, I guess, for teaching students to do this themselves so that they wouldn't have to flip back and forth between the two different files for it. But if we were to go through, you can see that sometimes the formatting is not always kept, but it tries to do as good a job as possible. It obviously also leaves out pictures for it. So now you see that it isn't. And once again, the biggest limitation of this is really that you have a computer translating this instead of a human being. So I'm embarrassed to say I never knew this. I thought, well, maybe if I didn't know about it, maybe a couple of you also didn't know about it for it. And so if you are looking for ways to try to provide scaffolding for your ESOL students so that they can get up to reading English on grade level, this is something that you might want to consider. All right, good luck with the last week of school. Hang in there. The light at the end of the tunnel is there. Let's keep roaring towards it. Take care.